Happy 2025 and welcome back to a new semester of the Sideline Squeeze. I'm Victoria Daly.
And I'm Lindsay Aarons.
So let's jump right into it as usual. The NFL honors were on last night and there was a lot of awards that I think were fair to fit. Josh Allen, MVP, Saquon Barkley, Offensive Player of the Year, Jaden Daniels, Rookie of the Year, and Joe Burrow, Comeback Player of the Year. But Lindsay, MVP was a big controversy sometimes for some people. I personally agree with Josh Allen. What did you think? Do you think it was a Lamar? Do you think Lamar should have gotten it? Or
I think it depends on what's the definition of MVP. Is it the guy with the best numbers or is it the guy that really provides the most value to his team? Because if we're talking, value to a team, I think that Josh Allen totally brings so much value to the Bills and he deserves it in that aspect. However, if you look at the numbers, Lamar Jackson, he has better numbers in every category than Josh Allen did this year. But Lamar also won it last year, so I don't know, where the voters are coming from in a sense of like.
I think though, Josh Allen, when you say value, like he is that guy. The Ravens have Derrick Henry, they have other weapons. Well, Josh Allen, I feel like, is the heart of the Bills organization, the Bills team, and he brings that energy. He brings the fans. He is the Bills. So I think this season, I don't know. I might be a little biased. I do like Josh Allen better than Lamar Jackson. But I also think that Josh Allen did deserve it this year. He's been great for them, so I don't know.
I agree, and I also like, that playoff matchup between the two of them. Allen was the one who came out with the win, and a lot of people said, whoever wins this game, they're going to be the MVP. And Allen did win that game, but, it really depends on if, the way you're looking at it, is it a numbers game or is it, who provides that value? And I agree with you in the sense that Josh Allen did deserve it, if that's the way we categorize that. But I know that that's like kind of a debate between a lot of people, and another debate that I personally thought was a little bit crazy. I mean, Joe Burrow had a great season, but do you think he was, the comeback player of the year over Sam Darnold, who completely turned his whole career around?
I know. Sam Darnold did great this year, and I do think that Sam Darnold's a name that, you hear and everything, and this year he really stood out that I do think he did great things for the Vikings. I mean, they did lose, but that is how the Vikings always work in the playoffs, but I was thinking that way also. I do think Sam Darnold, deserved it over Joe Burrow.
I agree in the sense of comeback player. Joe Burrow, I think, was an MVP candidate himself, but the Bengals were awful this year.
But he was the Bengals team this season.
He totally was. So comeback player of the year, I don't know if I'd give him that title. I get he came back from injury and he did great, stats-wise, but, the team wasn't very good. Yeah. So maybe that's why they ended up giving him that award. But I really think that if, any NFL fan can, agree that, Sam Darnold completely turning his whole career around, to me, that's more deserving of comeback player of the year. But
well, I think one of the other most noteworthy things was that Eli Manning did not get a first ballot pick for the Hall of Fame, which as Giants fans we think he totally got snubbed, but I also think a lot of the internet also believes he got snubbed because he beat Tom Brady twice in 2 Super Bowls. So give me your insight on this.
I mean, like you said, this might be biased. Eli's my favorite player ever in football. So I love Eli. I totally think it's a complete snub that he's not first ballot. I mean, I think that he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. I mean, he's so consistent. He had so many starts. He played so many seasons for the Giants and won 2 Super Bowls. That's more than his brother Peyton.
Because if you think about him in his prime, Eli was the guy. Towards the end of the career, he wasn't doing as great, and it looked bad as he got benched too.
Right.
But prime Eli, he beat Tom Brady, the GOAT. How many people can say they did that?
Yeah, and I think Eli's, top 10, I don't know, but he's definitely, top 15 quarterbacks of all time. And you're telling me that he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer? To me, that's absolutely insane.
Disrespectful.
Complete disrespect. But Eli actually himself said that he didn't mind not making the Hall of Fame because he was still going to be, a topic of conversation going forward about should he get in. So.
And we'll be talking about this anyway.
Oh, we totally will. But yeah, we're definitely super upset that Eli didn't get in. That's a complete snub. I don't really know how that ended up happening.
But keeping up with football, the Super Bowl is just 2 days away, and it's Chiefs-Eagles again in this Super Bowl 59 matchup. Very similar to Super Bowl 57, where the Chiefs defeated the Eagles 38-35. So give me your take on this Super Bowl.
I mean, I personally want the Chiefs to win just because, like we said before, we're Giants fans, could never root for the Eagles. That's just not happening. And I just also think it would be really cool to see history happen. No team has ever three-peat before, so it'll be really cool to see that.
Just thinks that it's the Chiefs doing it.
I know. Everybody's sick of them winning. But truthfully, that's history right there. And I think that, Mahomes is already in that GOAT conversation with Tom Brady. And, maybe if he does three-peat and do something that nobody's ever done, maybe he could surpass him in that conversation. What do you think?
I think that's definitely a topic of conversation. I do think Tom Brady, just the way he came to be on that Patriots team, really shows the player that he is. But Patrick Mahomes, from just a young age, though, has been exemplary. So I do think that he is already in that conversation. I think if he pulls this off, he will be right there beside him. I think it's just a lot more people. Even though Tom Brady's hard to like for some people, you gotta like him. While Patrick Mahomes, people find reasons. The refs, people are saying, help out the Chiefs a lot. So, I think it could be a little wishy-washy, but I do think as a player, he is extraordinary.
I totally agree with you. I mean, I'm not sure. The only thing with the GOAT conversation is everyone's always going to say Brady beat him in the Super Bowl. But, that was also, Brady wasn't necessarily the guy that was, like, the best player on the team. They had a lot of other weapons in Tampa that season. So I don't know. GOAT debate aside, who do you think is going to win this game?
Well, I want the Chiefs. I do think the Eagles are the stronger team. I think both teams had great seasons and more strong, but when I think about the Eagles' offense versus the Chiefs, I just think the Eagles have more weapons. Yes, Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes. I do think Patrick Mahomes is the better quarterback. If you look at their passing yards this season, Patrick Mahomes had so many more, but also Jalen Hurts was injured for a couple games at the end of the season. But if you look at their weapons, you have Saquon Barkley against the Chiefs running back. If we take Kareem Hunt, for example, Kareem Hunt's had around 700 yards this season, while Saquon had over 2,000. And if we look at we have wide receiver A.J. Brown versus, tight end Travis Kelce. Kelce had about 200 yards less than A.J. Brown. So I personally just think the weapons on the Eagles offense contribute more to the team than the weapons on the Chiefs offense.
I agree with you in that sense. I mean, I do think that Mahomes is the stronger quarterback, in that matchup. But other than that, I agree that the Eagles do have more weapons and that they did have a stronger regular season, in my opinion. I mean, I think the Chiefs were the best team that I've ever seen. A lot of people say that, the refs could be part of that. But I don't know. Even though I do think that the Eagles have more weapons and are the better team, I don't think you could go against Patrick Mahomes. Like, I will never make the mistake of betting against that man. He is so good, and I think he's going to find a way to three-peat and make history.
Well, we'll find out, when we talk about this next week and see who ends up winning. But let's talk about Syracuse basketball. We have not talked about them yet this season, and they had an anticipated matchup Wednesday night when they welcomed the Blue Devils to the Dome. But that welcome didn't last long as the Blue Devils won 83-54. What were some key points of that game, Lindsay?
I mean, honestly, it was closer than I had expected it to be, as crazy as that sounds, because it was like a 30-point, blowout at the end. In the first half, it wasn't totally over. Syracuse kept themselves in the game. At halftime, they were down 37-23, which, some could argue that's a big gap. But to me, anything under 20, I was like, okay, it's not a total blowout. So they were in it for the most part to start. But then that second half, totally fell off the wagon. And that was really what I anticipated this entire game. I mean, they have Cooper Flagg, who's, I think, going to be the number one pick in the NBA draft. So just Duke is always a stronger team than Syracuse as of lately, and I didn't think there was going to be any question that they were.
Duke is the 2 seed, too. So I think also the anticipation was fun, though, too, because it's Duke-Syracuse. It's always a big rivalry. And then Malik Brown, former Syracuse basketball player, was in the Dome then on Wednesday night because he now plays for Duke. So I think there's a lot of energy around that. One noteworthy positive thing for Syracuse was that Eddie Lampkin Jr. actually got his 1,000-point Wednesday night. He came into the game at 999, so it was kind of a given that he was going to get it. So
True, yeah, that, and they also celebrated at halftime the Syracuse football team winning the Holiday Bowl. So there was a positive within the negative, since the whole game was definitely a total blowout. But that's what we expected, and Syracuse will look to turn things around as they take on Boston College on Saturday in the Dome.
Unfortunately, I will not be there, but I wish I could see it. I have club basketball games.
Well, good luck to you, and I'll be rooting for them on your behalf. And luckily, the women are playing on Sunday, too.
The women, they just came off a big win yesterday. They beat Virginia Tech 93-87, which there was a lot of big-time plays and big accomplishments for Syracuse that game.
Yeah, Sophie Burrows totally went off. She had 28 points. She hit 8 threes. She's just really stepped into a huge role this season where, last season she was kind of more role player. We had Deasia Fair, who was really leading this team, but Sophie Burrows has totally stepped up and taken on that role, and I think she's been the star player this season for the Orange.
She's helping out Georgia Woolley a lot. Kira Wood, also a great player. I think Dominique Camps, she just got her first double-double last night, which was big. And also Syracuse basketball got their 800th win. So it was just overall all positive energy for the Syracuse women's team yesterday.
It totally was. And also, like, this Virginia Tech team that they beat is pretty solid. They're 15-8. They had the better record. I thought that, they were going to end up winning this game, but I was really surprised at Sophie Burrow's performance and just how, the Orange were able to hang on. And they're going to look to take that with them as they also play on Sunday. As I mentioned before, they'll take on Wake Forest in the Dome. So Sunday's going to be a busy day between, the women playing in the Dome, the Super Bowl.
A lot going on.
Definitely a lot going on. But we're going to keep you guys updated on how everything goes next week when we return. So thank you guys for watching. I'm Lindsay Aarons.
And I'm Victoria Daly. Have a great weekend.